Okay, and welcome back to today's how-to segment. We're going to actually be building a Windows Server 2012 R2 box as a virtual machine using VMware's Workstation Player 12, really, for today's lecture. Today's tutorial really is a segment out of my Introduction to Server Administration course. If you haven't taken that or watched some of the videos for that, I highly recommend it. We go through a lot of the bread and butter basics of server admin, and the course is a preparatory course for the 70-410 Windows certification exam if you're interested in taking that. Highly recommend that as well. We are building this as a virtual machine, so I do have another course for that, Introduction to Operating Systems and Virtualization, if you are interested in learning about virtual machines and virtualization and how to configure them. This course, we're not going to focus so much on the virtualization piece of it as the build out for Server 2012. However, let's talk a little bit about why virtualizing is important. Well, first of all, today we're going to be using an image CD as our build, but we could just as easily use an image file to build this operating system from. Just so happens I don't have one available, otherwise I would show you that method. So today we're going to use a CD. The install is virtually going to be the same as it would be on a physical box. However, I'm not going to have the headache today of configuring my RAID devices, trying to make sure decide on where to mirror them or stripe them, make sure the drivers are in place before I build the operating system. So we're going to take some of that headache out of today's equation. We also need to be aware that in today's IT world, virtualization is where it's at. More virtual server VMs are added to IT production environments than hardware-based traditional servers. If you're going to be moving into server admin roles, building servers today is not so much building physical servers. You're going to be building a lot of virtual servers as well. We're thankful for that because VMs are a lot easier to manage. They're much easier to back up and restore. They do offer significant advantages when it comes to fault tolerance, redundancy, and so on. So there's a lot of benefits to virtualization. Last but not least, I have the ability with virtual machines to configure them with specialized hardware just like I would a physical box. And I have the advantage of being able to move that virtual machine to any other VMware-based platform if I need to. Let's go ahead and get started with the build. Here we are, we're in my Workstation 12 player, and we're going to create a new virtual machine. I would be able to select an image disk and browse to it if I had one available with me tonight, but I don't. So I'm going to use the installer disk. I'm not going to put in a Windows product key, but if this were going to be a production box, since it's a Windows product, I would need a licensing key for this just like I would any physical server. So if I'm running a physical server and VMs on that physical server, I must meet the licensing requirements not only for the physical box, but for all the virtual boxes as well. I'm going to put in my usual password here that I use for these types of projects. And I'll select next. Yes, give me my little nag warning. I would like to continue. I'm going to just call it Windows Server 2012. I'm going to store it in my virtual machines folder. This does store it in a default folder in your documents folder unless you move it somewhere else. I am going to go with the standard 60 gigabyte disk size. However, I can raise it up, I can raise it down as I see fit. I do have this is a dynamic disk, and the nice things about dynamic disks, unless I did a advanced install, a dynamic disk is only going to be the size of the data that's in the disk. So even though I'm choosing 60 gigabytes here, the disk size really will start off being 12, 14, 16 gigabytes. There are some advantages to setting up your virtual disk with multiple files. That allows you, according to VMware, to move the virtual machine much easier. So I'm going to keep that option. It's going to give me a summary here of what I have chosen. I can go in and customize my hardware. So let's just go in and let's just say I want to create a new network adapter. So I can do that. I can say add network adapter. We'll just keep it at NAT for the time being. Hit finish, and now look at that. I've added, now I have 2 network adapters on this Server 2012 R2 virtual machine, just like I had installed it in a physical box. I can hit close here, and I can finish this, and it should start the build process off of that CD. So, from this point forward, this operating system install would be just like any other operating system install, whether it's on a physical box or using another VM product like Oracle's VirtualBox, ESXi. Alright, so we're now moving in. We've now set up Windows, and now we're moving into the first initial login screen for our Server 2012 R2 box, and now we're loading up the Server Manager. The Server Manager represents the dashboard for the Windows Server box, and as you can see here, I have the ability to configure the local server. I have the ability to enable new roles and features through the tools section here. Our manage section, I can add roles and features or remove them. I can add additional servers that I can manage remotely. I can create whole server groups that I can apply broad stroke changes to, and so on. In the tools section is where all the components and services and features of and roles of the box can be accessed. And in the view section, I have the ability to, of course, make the screen smaller or bigger as I need to. So, building a virtualized Server 2012 box is not difficult at all, provided you've got the right space. Make sure you have enough RAM on the machine that you can run a virtualized environment. Make sure your BIOS is set for virtualization as well before you begin. And when we come back, we'll talk about configuring our server for the first time. Thanks a lot. Bye.